Hey there, Unsolved Mysteries fans, back at you with another video. This case was requested to me by Graham Siddall. So once again, man, this case is for you, and enjoy it. So yeah, this case is going to be about George Reeves. So here we go. George Reeves was a well-known and well-liked Hollywood actor known for making westerns, but the one role he could never shrug off was of TV's first Superman. One for which he was so connected to he believed he'd never get serious work again. When he was found shot in the head in his Beverly Hills home, police quickly ruled his death a suicide. However, many people believed that he was murdered. Prior to George's death, he had been dating Toni Mannix. Even though she was still married to her husband Eddie, he was vice president of MGM. For unknown reasons, he was fine with Toni and George's relationship. Then, in 1958, he broke up with her. She was devastated, but he moved on quickly. He soon began dating Lenore Lemon, who had a notorious reputation. She was known for causing many fights and altercations. They were reportedly engaged in 1959. George apparently had financial problems prior to his death. Toni and Eddie apparently gave him large amounts of money while he and Toni were dating. Once they broke up, however, he had little money to spend on his lavish lifestyle. He had little income because he hadn't filmed a new Superman episode in 2 years. On the night of his death, George had several friends over. By midnight of June 16, 1959, only Lenore and writer Robert Condon were still at the house with him. 2 neighbors stopped by, hoping to join in the party. He got angry at them for being very loud. Lenore was allegedly upset at the way he was handling the situation. One theory is that after this altercation, George told Lenore that he did not plan to marry her. She became angry and pulled out a gun, which they struggled over. The theory suggests that he was accidentally shot by her. According to reports, the guests took over a half an hour to call the police. When examining the .30 caliber gun used to kill George, authorities found no fingerprints. The shell casing was found beneath his body. Even though it was ruled a suicide, it would have fallen away from there. While researchers believe that Lenore killed George, others believe that Toni or Eddie killed him. One theory suggests that Eddie, tired of hearing Toni lament over the breakup, hired someone to kill him. The theory claims that his house was an open house and that people could easily walk in or out without anyone noticing. However, researchers believe that the murder theory is unlikely. Although suicide believers point to the lack of gunpowder burns on George, it is known that if a person puts a gun directly to their skin, the powder will go inside the body. Also, if held a certain way, the shell casing could have fallen underneath his body. Finally, Jack Larson, one of his co-stars, believed that he had killed himself because he was unable to get a job and had no access to money. To this day, there is still debate as to whether George had committed suicide or not. So yeah, suspects, Lenore Lemon, Toni Mannix, and Eddie Mannix are all considered suspects. However, they have all since passed away. Lenore died in 1989, Toni died in 1983, and Eddie died in 1963. So yeah, it's still unresolved. In 1999, published Edward Losey claimed that Toni Mannix had confessed to him that she had hired someone to kill George. However, Jack Larson, along with others, have disputed the claims. They have found no corroborating evidence to sustain a confession. They noted that Toni had suffered Alzheimer's in the years prior to her death, which would have made any alleged confession from her to be unreliable. To this day, the case officially remains a suicide. George's former home is now included in paranormal tours of Hollywood. Later owners have seen his ghost in the Superman costume on the 2nd floor where he died. The haunting activity was reported in Hollywood Ghost Stories in 1986. The events of Reeves' death was dramatized in the 2005 film Hollywoodland, starring Adrian Brody, Ben Affleck, and Diane Lane. It's speculated that plenty of suspicion and suspects abounded. He eventually killed himself over frustration of his career and his inability to attract quality parts. Yeah, this is one of those cases, that has so many theories. It could have went either way. I'm kind of leaning towards suicide. Suicide makes sense. Like it said, he hadn't filmed Superman in over 2 years. He wasn't really able to get much work. He didn't have a whole lot of money, so basically, he was going bankrupt, and he couldn't really find work as an actor. So, knowing this, he would have gotten pretty depressed and killed himself. So that's kind of the one I'm leaning towards, but it also could have been a murder, as it was stated in this video earlier. So it could have been either way. We probably will never know, since this case is so old now, and like pretty much everybody of the possible suspects have passed away now. So this case will most likely never be solved, but I'm leaning more towards the suicide than I am the murder, because suicide definitely makes more sense. But the murder theory does make sense as well, but I'm leaning more towards the suicide for that, for this. So yeah, before I end the video, I just wanted to say, on my East Area Rapist / Original Night Stalker video, I got a comment from YouTube user Shelly, and she basically thanked me for getting the word out about the case. Her sister was actually the last victim of the original Night Stalker. So yeah, it goes back to what I've said over in a few different videos. This is why I started this series, was to get the word out, to discuss the theories, to discuss the case, maybe bring in possible tips and leads on the case. This is why I started doing it. So I really feel for people that have to go through this, that can never really find peace. Obviously the loss gets easier with time, but the pain never really goes away, and the loss is always there, and they can never really truly find peace. So I really feel for families that have to go through this every single year on a date, and that's why I do these videos, because maybe if somehow I can get the word out, and maybe we can track down these guys and put them away and give them what they deserve. So yeah, I actually I checked out her channel, and she's got quite a few videos on the East Area Rapist / Original Night Stalker. So I'm gonna put the link to her channel in the description. If you're interested in that case and you want to know more about it, she definitely knows more about it than I do, and probably has more information on it than I do. So if you're interested in that case, I'll put her video in the description. She has 2 Facebook pages, which she talks about in her videos, so check those out as well. So yeah, that's basically all I want to say for now. Check Shelly's channel out, and if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.